let's talk about Amazing Spider-Man
Well,
because after after the leak that happened last week, um, a lot of the conversation, it started with pure anger and rage, but then it became, how did this happen? Who leaked the event in Amazing Spider-Man, the shocking event? Who leaked that? We haven't known. And Comics Beat actually put out an article really, really quickly after the leak itself took place, and they were asking the same question. And Comics Beat was unable to determine an answer because, as far as people knew, it originated from Reddit. But who gave this Redditor this information?
fucking Redditors.
A lot of leaks happen on Reddit apparently, but this leak did not actually originate from Reddit. Contrary to the belief, where did this thing come from? Who did this? A lot of people said it was Marvel because, and actually Tyler floated that theory, and so did Comics Beat. A lot of people said, look at the images. This is what Tyler said last week. Look at the images. They're blurry. Everybody has a camera phone, and your camera phone does not take pictures this bad. So why are they so blurry? Well, that's a good question. If this happened before the book hit comic book shops, which it did, and it's this blurry, it probably came from inside the house. The call's coming from inside the house.
Has to.
And so people said, oh, Marvel probably did this for publicity. And that was the big theory. Hey, we can off this character, we can resurrect them. And please, chat, try not to say who we're talking about. I understand that it's a little weird to have to play this game, but just indulge us, please, just because not everybody is aware of what took place. So maybe it was Marvel. Maybe Marvel wanted the publicity. Maybe Marvel knew that there would be backlash, and they didn't want to wait for the issue to drop just for there to be a wave of negativity. So let's get ahead of it. Let's make this announcement, and then when the issue comes out, the heat will already be off.
E.B. Sobolski walking around Marvel taking pictures with his crusty ass Motorola Razr flip phone. This will get the
Oh my
internet on
God.
fire.
That's hilarious. What's up, Kefis? Welcome. You missed a lot. Well, as always, Bleeding Cool comes through with some ace reporting and investigative journalism to determine the answer to this question. Bleeding Cool's Richard Johnson was able to trace the leak all the way back to a YouTube channel.
No way.
Yes, indeed.
Not us.
Not us. We would never do that. If we had a Marvel insider, we would never leak anything you told us. We can be trusted. Hit our line. Our DMs are open if you want to, tell us some information, some private information.
Give us the tea.
Yeah.
You've been told secrets.
Oh yeah, we keep. Oh please, we've been told secrets. We keep them. Trust
Yeah, we're
me.
pretty good at that.
Yeah. So, the YouTube channel is titled Comic Kingpins, and they went live on May 15th on YouTube with the title Who Dies in ASM 26? Tune in to find out. Now, this YouTube channel, as of today's live, has 531 subscribers, which is the same number it had a few days ago when I checked last. And I don't say that, by the way, to denigrate them. I'm saying that because I'm trying to highlight how small this channel is to have dropped such a bombshell. And frankly, how few people actually saw the video from which this leak originated. Because that video only has 447 views. which is not a lot considering what it spoils. So the Reddit thread ended up taking all their viewers, which is unfortunate for them. But I watched it. Go ahead.
Sort of. Like, frankly, you'd sort of want that Reddit buffer when you're up against, Disney.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I think I would like well, I wouldn't do it, but the views would be sweet. How you don't promote that and parlay that into a video that does at least 1,000 views, I don't get. But that's the biggest spoiler they could have possibly had.
Yeah.
So Rich Johnson was able to interview them, and they said, "This is tough. It's tough to read without spoilers." Go ahead.
Sorry, is that video still up?
It is, yeah.
Wow.
It absolutely is. I mean, at this point,
Guys.
at this point, like, Marvel's issue is with who did this. Well, let me read the quote first. And if you really don't want to know the answer as to who was killed, this quote I'm about to read doesn't exactly spoil it, but it gives you an idea. So you can mute us for 30 seconds as I read this, okay? Or skip ahead if you're watching later. Quote, "We stated on the show about the main reason that it was spoiled at all was the fact that they were killing off a fan favorite minority character in a title that wasn't their own and without drawing pretty much any attention to the fact that they were even showing up in this event. It's a huge disservice to their fans. It seems that a lot of the community is under the impression that the source came from the publisher, and that is accurate. I am allowed to say that much. The sentiments we expressed about them being killed off like this are the sentiments of our source. Hopefully now, perhaps more of their fans will catch this milestone event for them, regardless of how they handle it down the road. As I'm sure you can understand, we don't want to say too much in regards to our source for the obvious reasons."
I like to think that somebody, like Sean was like, like mute us for the next 30 seconds, and someone's like in the middle of like doing dishes. Fuck!
I have a theory that is half joke, but I think it would definitely spoil it.
Go ahead.
I wonder if it was Sana Amanat.
That would be crazy. That would be insane. That's too risky.
But for she was like on the team that originally created her.
All right.
Too much.
Too much.
Too much.
Okay, sorry.
I think for any executive to be a part of something like this, regardless of how you feel about the decision, is shameful. I don't support that kind of action. I think if she felt this was the wrong decision or anything or if any executive felt that this was the wrong decision, you're probably in a position to voice that in a more correct way, because this leak doesn't help This leak doesn't help. This doesn't help that problem.
Yeah,
The conversation that would generate will happen anyway.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen as strongly without the voice attached to it. The voice of that person. So I think I don't know. But it has to be somebody who's upset, because that's what the quote says.
Yeah.
The person that did this is upset with the outcome. They're upset with who was taken out.
And fair.
Yeah. I get it. And I started to think, with the culture at Marvel right now, when you look at the editors and when you look at the people that work there, a lot of them are, it's a lot more diverse. And, there are a lot more women there, a lot more minorities there, things like that. And so I could see any number of non-executive level employees at Marvel having access to this kind of thing and being mad enough to make this choice.
No, what? You're working there, and like this is just like I imagine this is you're working there, right? You get that this is the machine of comics and you're trying to stoke flames up and stuff, and surely they know something. They know more detail than we do down the next 6 months worth of issues. Like I feel like they know how this is
Yeah.
going to resolve to some degree, and I don't know that that's grounds for somebody to be like, I'm mad at this decision in particular, even though I know how it's going to resolve in this way.
But even if that's how it resolves, that doesn't mean you like the decision, or even how it resolves. Just because you see the full picture doesn't mean you agree with the full picture.
Sure.
And we 100% know, according to this quote from the Comic Kingpins, that it did come from an employee. That it came from somebody who works at Marvel, who had access. Think about it. This is a comic book that is not in shops.
Yeah.
It literally only could have come from Marvel at this point. Who else would have a book that early?
Creators? When do
They get their comps
creators get their comps?
after. Like after shops get them.
Do they?
I think so.
What was the question?
I don't know.
When creators
do-
get their comps.
Don't they get it before? Like
I
right
think
before?
they get it before.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Because it all gets published at the same time, and shops get them a few days early. So
Well, the leak happened last week.
that's too early.
I think that's too early for. Again, I think it's too early for anybody that doesn't work at Marvel to have it.
It's
Yeah,
still in the
I
building.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this had to come from Marvel. And I believe the Comic Kingpins, because there are other things that leak. Leaks happen all the time in comics. This is not new. It's just big. And a secret this big you think Marvel would keep. But clearly someone wasn't interested in doing that. My question to you guys is, do you think that heads will roll?
No. This is leaned into the fervor and the excitement and the outrage, and so while this was a leak, I think they had stuff ready to promote this, and so I think at this rate, any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, I think I agree. I feel like if they were gonna, we probably would have already seen it.
I wonder if they know who it is.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I
Just
think
as.
I think if Marvel ever learns who did it, they'll be gone. If I were and I'm not, but if I were an executive at Marvel, if I were in the position to make those kinds of decisions, I would 100% fire that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that there's any, like, how do you not?
Yeah.
How do you not?
Breaking.
That's crazy. Like, I'm sure there has to be something in the contract that they sign where you can't, do shit like that. So,
Yeah, you're breaking some NDA thing or whatever.
right.
Sure.
I don't hope for that. I don't hope that Marvel finds the person. I think if the person was standing up for what they believe in, I still think it was wrong, but I get the choice. I don't hope Marvel finds them, but if they do, I think that person is gone, and I think they should be gone.
Someone could be like, "Nah, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed." Show of hands, who did it? Let's be honest here.
Yeah. Well, that's the story as far as, who done it. I don't think we'll ever learn who did it unless they get fired, which I don't think they'll be discovered. But I think this is as close as we'll get to the truth. And you know what? It's enough for me. I am sated with this.
I'd like to know. I'd still like to know. I'm not saying I want that person to lose their job. I'm not saying, but made up. Admit it. Damage is done.
If someone could whisper it in my ear or in my DMs, I'd love that, and I would never tell.
We just want to know.
I just want to, I would love to know. I just don't want the consequence of, like, if I know, everybody else knows, which means the person's fired. And I don't
Sure.
want that. But do I want to know something I'm not supposed to know? Hell fucking yeah.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Stay toxic, boys.
You know it.
Listen, who doesn't love a little bit of gossip?
Please, we live for it.
Little chismes.
We live for it here.
I had to take Jess to the doctor not that long ago, and there were a couple of nurses like across the room. They started talking about a wedding of a mutual friend between them. I have no idea who these people are. A wedding of a mutual friend. I was looking at my phone. I looked up and I heard them talking. And then I realized what they were talking about. And Jess said, I have never seen a more obvious double take. She said, you got to work on your face.
You got to work on it.
Can't let people know.
Oh,
Hey,
that's
listen.
funny.
Who doesn't love gossip, especially for people you don't know?
You got that shit right. Absolutely. Well, that's a subject that I think everybody would rather move on from. The Amazing Spider-Man leak. It's a blemish, in my opinion, on the year that has been 2023 for comics so far.